Can you see there's no resistance? Everything just comes off. Today, we're cooking one of my favorite dishes, slow roasted lamb shoulder. It's complex, it's fatty, it's falling off the bone tender, it's wonderful. We're cooking it with a marinade that's inspired by Liziqi. If you haven't seen her YouTube videos, go now. Come back and finish this later. She's that good. And I hope wherever she is, she'll come back to inspire us really soon. If you're making this for the first time, I'll probably stick with salt and pepper, see if you like it, and then you can start playing with marinades. So first, we score the lamb. This is 1, to help render the fat, and 2, to increase the surface area that is in contact with the marinade. And because we're gonna pick it off the bone after a long and slow cooking process, you can go quite deep. You don't have to worry about staying with just the fat. Lamb shoulder for me is a slow roasting joint. You can't cook it fast because there's so much connective tissues. Once broken down, they become very tasty collagen. If you want a fast cooking joint, buy a leg of lamb. Now we score the other side. This is 2/3 of a full shoulder, just because we only have 2 of us at home. You can do it with the whole shoulder, but if you're taking part of the shoulder, I would always prefer the side that is away from the shank because it has more connective tissues, more collagen, which makes it juicier than the shank. And if you have to eat lamb shank, take it from the leg, not from the shoulder. Perfect. Now, we make our Liziqi inspired marinade. Pesto and mota. To that, we add some Sichuan peppercorns. Today, we have about 50-50 green and red Sichuan peppercorns. If you had to choose one, always go with the green. That's the more flavoursome one. Sichuan peppercorns, they give you this numbing sensation, but when it's slow roasted, the numbingness is gone and you have this very elegant spiciness to it. So, pound it to release the essential oil from the skin. For most peppercorns, the skin is the tasty part. So you really want to grind it properly. To that, salt. This is 1% of the weight of the lamb shoulder. Cumin, always goes well with lamb. And this is Kashmiri chili powder, but you can use any chili powder you like to taste. There's no need to stress over it. We like it spicy. Get a bit of a mix while it's still dry, and we slowly start to introduce the wet ingredients. Here we have the holy trinity of Chinese cooking, ginger, scallion, and garlic. I put the garlic through the crusher to really break the cell membranes because the garlic juice works magic with the unsaturated fat of the lamb. So the holy trinity goes in and we pound it a bit more for them to fully integrate. Now, we add a bit of soy sauce for some umami. Not too much, you don't want this to burn. And very optional ingredient, this is liquid shio koji, which probably deserves its own video, but don't sweat if you don't have it. Again, this is mostly for the umami. And olive oil, or any oil that's neutral enough. Because we're making a paste, I would encourage you to add more than you think you need. We're gonna skim off all the fat at the very end. Now, we're forming a beautiful paste. And to that, we add a dash of Maltai, a wheat spirit from China. Optional, of course. You can use vodka as well. Just don't add wine, because we are not introducing acidity to this. Now, let's do some rubbing. We have our scored lamb. Just because of the chili powder, I would recommend a pair of gloves. Food grade, of course, and powder free. You can marinate this overnight, but for me, you're losing the characteristics of the spices. So I rather just do it right before cooking. It is flavoursome enough from experience. So I went really deep so that we have a much larger surface area to work with. This dish changed how I looked at Sichuan peppercorn, because I'm not a fan of the numbing feature. And I promise you, there will be none of that in the finished product. Oil is a very good conductor of both heat and flavors, and that's why we added so much in the beginning, knowing we're gonna skim them off afterwards. Now, we're cooking this in 2 stages. First, it goes into a 180 fan oven for about 30 to 40 minutes for browning. This would render the fat and develop some meaty flavors. Then, we're gonna wrap it in cling film, cook it low and slow at 120 fan so that the connective tissues break down into yummy collagen. Hot oven. Alright, after 25 minutes, the lamb is already really brown. So, we take it out. It's important to check on it because you never know. Depending on the size of the joint, you just don't want the spice rub to burn. Now, this is your one and only chance to baste because after that we're gonna wrap it in cling film. So I would take it with open arm. Basting never makes anything juicier. It's for distribution of flavors. Now, if I pour hot water on you, you're not gonna be dehydrated, you're gonna be burnt, you know? Now, we cover it with tin foil so we get more gentle heat. This goes back in to a reduced oven at 120 Celsius on the lower shelf for some low and slow cooking to break down the connective tissues for 5 to 6 hours. From experience, I find if you give a whole shoulder 6 hours, it will be falling off the bone, fork tender. If you like your lamb shoulder with a bit of a bite still, anything between 3 to 4 hours would do. After 6 hours, the lamb's ready. Be very careful when you take it out now because it's full of cooking liquid. Don't want to spill the jus. Now we very carefully unwrap this because there will be steam escaping. Steam coming out, be very careful. And look at this beauty. Look at this beauty. It's so perfectly cooked and it's so tender. Now, I'm boiling some water in this cast iron casserole because this will be my serving dish. And I want this to be able to help the lamb retain its heat because there's nothing worse than solidified lamb fat. Very carefully transfer this beautiful lamb shoulder into the serving dish. Now, while this keeps warm, we drain our cooking liquid through a sieve. We then skim off most of the fat. There's a lot. First from the olive oil we added to make the paste. Then from the fat cap, and then from the lamb shoulder itself. As you can see, one full bowl of fat. We set this aside to keep warm. Now, we take this off the bone. Can you see there's no resistance? Everything just comes off. And it's so tender. I've done it in so many different ways. I've rolled it, I've marinated it, I've roasted it standing up, every single method. For me, this is by a mile my favorite. You'll never see a cleaner lamb bone than this. That's what I mean by off the bone tender. Now, we have our warm jus, which has so much flavor. This will go so well with some rice, with some tortilla. You can make some soft taco with the shredded meat. Endless opportunities. We will garnish with some beautiful coriander. And there you have it. My favorite way to enjoy lamb shoulder. This is slow roasted lamb shoulder with Liziqi inspired flavors. I really hope you enjoy. I forgot. This goes really well with white wine, with all the Sichuan spices and the lamb flavors. It's very hard to match it even with a Syrah, but something like a Greek Assyrtiko, incredible. You almost want it to be the palate cleanser and bring that acidity to contrast the fattiness and all these Sichuan flavors. I'm drinking red because I was drinking before filming, you know.